Now see here, next chapter, that is communication system. See here, this is the last chapter of the 12th standard, and also in this chapter we will be studying all the communication systems which are here we are using in daily life. And you know, communication systems are very important part of our life these days. And in communication system, actually how the signals or the messages are transmitted from one place to another, all these steps involved in this process are has to be studied in this chapter. So let us see here the first block diagram of the communication system. See here, in this block diagram, first one is your information source. In this, if you are speaking something, that is taken as information source, and then information source, these signals are transmitted to, these information signals are transmitted to the transmitter. With the help of the transmitter, these signals are spread in the atmosphere, and then there is a channel involved, this communication channel, and which receives all these signals and transmit in other directions, and then it is received by the another part, that is a receiver, and receiver then it convert to the user of information. So all this, whatever was this information, that has been converted into the original form, and the person who is going to receive it, at that receives in the original form. If some unwanted frequencies are added in the channel here, that is considered as noise. But see here, this communication or the medium part can be anything, maybe the guided, maybe unguided. Guided means if you are using the wire, so communication through wire, cable, then it is a guided system. And if you are using unguided, that is a wireless system. So we can also use all these part, or this medium can be wireless also. But here we will be studying here, there are basically two types of communication system. One is point to point communication. Another one is broadcast. So in point to point communication system, see here, one transmitter, one receiver. That is the example of the telephone. One person who is talking can talk to the one particular person. So the one here, the transmitter and one receiver involved, that is called a point to point communication system. But in broadcast, one transmitter, many receivers, like TV programs, radio programs, all these are transmitted here. So these are transmitted from one place, but the receivers are there, millions of the people. So that is actually a broadcast here. So there are the basically two types of communication system, point to point and broadcast. So here you have to see here, first the main part is the working of the transmitter. So working of the transmitter here, it transmits the signals, and mainly here the working of the receiver here, which helps basically in receiving the signals, and channel help in transmitting the signal from transmitter to receiver. So this is the basic block diagram of a communication system. See here some basic terminology involved, or the basic terms involved in the communication system. First one is here, that is called transducers. See here, transducers is a device which actually converts one form of energy into another form of energy. So that device is basically known as transducers. And here in communication, whatever type of the signals or the variations you are getting, like a pressure, temperature, force, all these are converted into corresponding electrical signals. So the device used for converting any form of the signals, any form of the messages into electrical signal is known as transducers. Second one we can take here, what signals. Signals which we are using here, that can be in the two forms. One can be as a function of the sign, which are actually time varying signal, that are called here basically analog signal. Analog signals are basically in this way, they are the function of the sign having got the one specific value and keep on varying with the time. So these type of the signals are taken as analog signals. And another type of the signals which we use, that are the binary numbers or the digital electronics, that is called digital communication system. There we use in digital, in digital communication, everything is converted into the binary form, and basically all the messages are transmitted in the two levels, one is the 0 or 1. So all the number which are given in the decimal system, all the signals which are received in the form of the decimal systems can be converted into the binary number, and then these are transmitted. So, here we are going to use two types of the signals, one is analog and one is digital. Third one is here, that is called term is the noise. See, a noise is unwanted frequencies which are added in the communication channel. So, when the information sources are there, information are sent from one place to another and receiver is going to receive. In between or in the basic communication medium actually, if some unwanted frequencies are added, they are called here noise. So, this is the another term, and fourth term we can also take, that is called attenuation. You know, in attenuation what happen? That is basically the loss of strength. So, when the signal travels from one place to another place, its energy is absorbed by the atmosphere or energy is lost in some another form. By this way, strength of the signals gets reduced, and this loss of the strength of signal is known as attenuation. Now, after attenuation we can see another part is there, that is called here transmitter. So, see here, transmitter is actually here main part of the communication system. It processes the message signals which are received by this and make them suitable for transmitting through the communication channel. So, this is the working of the transmitter. Sixth one is we can take as a receiver. You know, receiver extract the messages from the signals received and then actually it gives to the user in the actual or the original form. So, this is the working of the receiver. Seventh one is that is called amplification. You know, we have seen in previous chapter, amplification or is actually the process in which amplitude of the signal is increased. So, amplifier is a device which actually increases the amplitude of the current, voltage or power is known as amplifier. So, here during the transmission, if the strength of signal is lost or you can say signal becomes weak, then by using additional DC source, that loss in the strength of the signal is compensated, and this process is known as amplification here. So, the amplitude or the strength of the signal is increased. So, this is very important because when the signals are traveling to the large distances, there you know the strength gets reduced or attenuation takes place. So, that attenuation or loss is compensated by this process and signals are made suitable for you know the receiver. After that we can take one is the range. Range is actually the maximum distance up to which a signal can be transmitted. So, that is called here the range. And the next one, the ninth one we can take as bandwidth. Bandwidth actually a frequency range of the equipment in which in that range it operates. So, every equipment operates within the range of the frequencies and that range of the frequencies are known as bandwidth. So, here the bandwidth actually basically here the frequency range. After that we can take you know that is called a repeater. See here the repeaters are actually here, they are fitted also in between the transmitter and receiver actually here, and these repeaters are the devices which you know receive the signals, and if the attenuation takes place they amplify it and retransmit further. So, in repeater actually both things is taking place, it is receiving, amplifying and transmitting. So, receiver are fitted in between the you know transmitter and receivers. And now after that here the 11th one that we can use here one modulation and one we can say here demodulation. So, see here modulation and demodulation. As we know here the low frequency signal cannot be transmitted over the large distances. We will be doing all these things in the next topics. So, actually the low frequency signals are sent or the transmitted with the help of the high frequency carrier waves. So, low frequency signals are superimposed on the high frequency carrier waves, maybe according to frequency, amplitude or the phases, and this process is known as modulation. And at the receiving end, these signals or the low frequency signals are separated from the carrier wave and that process is known as demodulation. So, it is very important part of the here communication system. So, these are the basic terminology involved in the communication system.